we represent to participate in this 16th Conference of Parties on Climate Change in this beautiful city of Cancun. May I, before proceeding, convey to you the greetings of the Gambian leader and the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Yahya AJJ Jammeh, his government and entire Gambian population. Mr. Vice President, my delegation and I wish to register profound thanks and appreciation to the government and people of Mexico for the warm welcome and hospitality accorded us since our arrival and the excellent coordination by the UNFCCC Secretariat. Mr. Vice President, please convey to Madam President our sincere congratulations for her election to this high office in conference. The Gambia would like to associate itself with the statements made by the distinguished delegates of Yemen on behalf of G77 and China, Democratic Republic of Congo on behalf of the African Group, and Lesotho on behalf of the LDCs. Mr. Vice President, my delegation expects to see to it that we learn lessons from the shortcomings of Copenhagen and ensure that Cancun is able to deliver balanced outcomes between the ad hoc working committee on long-term cooperative actions and ad hoc working committee on the Kyoto Protocol, as well as rebuild confidence and establish pathway for the legally binding outcomes in South Africa. The Gambia would like to reaffirm that any outcome in the Cancun must be based on the following: the principles of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capability to be implemented in the spirit of global cooperation and partnership. Providing special priority to the special situation and needs of developing countries, particularly the least developed countries and small island developing states and Africa. The reflection of polluter pay principle and the fulfillment of the right to development in an equitable and sustainable manner. Mr. Vice President, we expect Cancun Conference therefore to deliver concrete results on RED Plus and Adaptation Committee for implementation and associated means of support for implementation and on effective and accountable institutions under the authority and guidance of COP, especially for adaptation, finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. The Gambia as an African country, the only continent mentioned in the convention, and as an LDC, the most vulnerable group of countries. Mr. Vice President, adaptation is a priority of the Gambia, and we cannot understand the rationale of committing 100 billion yearly, $100 billion yearly up to the year 2020 for the purpose of meaningful mitigation, leaving countries without greenhouse gas emissions not to access those resources. With regard to the impact of climate change, we in the Gambia have experienced since the 1970s a change in rainfall pattern and other climate-related variables that have profoundly modified the natural environment and our people's ways of life. In response to this situation, significant efforts to adapt to drought and resulting land degradation have been undertaken for several years and in many sectors at local and national level through various plans of action for the 3 Rio Conventions, such as the National Adaptation Plan of Action. A major challenge that we have been facing and continue to face is, however, limited resources constraining our ability to provide much needed response towards adapting and addressing disaster which have been on the rise in the country. The recent floods in the country that led us to declare a state of disaster are a testimony of the challenges we face as a nation. As a country, we had to mobilize resources internally thanks to a $10 million assistance provided under the leadership of His Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, for onward assistance to flood-affected victims all over the country. Despite our appeal, external assistance was virtually nil. Though we fully appreciate the support of some countries to the LDCF, we call on the international community to honor their commitment by providing support that can easily be accessed, in particular for the least developed countries like the Gambia, in the implementation of their numbers. Mr. Vice President, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, climate change scenario for the country indicates that the climate variable currently being experienced is likely to increase and intensify. This constitutes a fear that is as relevant to my country as to others in a similar situation. The threats are real. Challenges to the country because important economic activities such as tourism and fisheries are located in our coastal zones. With 1 meter sea level rise, it is projected that about 92 kilometers square of the coastal region of the Gambia will be inundated, and the whole of the capital city of Banjul will be lost due to the fact that the greater part of the city lies below 1 meter. Mr. Vice President, Your Excellencies, I would like to conclude my statement by reminding this August gathering that paragraph 6 of Article 7 of the UNFCCC states that United Nations and its specialized agencies such as international atomic agencies, as well as any state member, therefore or observer, thereto not party to the convention, may be represented at the Conference of Parties as observers. In May 2009 and also 2010, the Republic of China on Taiwan was invited to the World Health Assembly as an observer. This has been a pleasant, welcoming, and acceptable precedent which should be extended to Taiwan as a country with over 22 million plus people in all other international forums such as the UNFCCC COP16 and all related global climate change mechanisms. It is the Gambia's unequivocal position that Taiwan should be allowed unconditionally to participate in this and all other UNFCCC forums. In the past, the PLO was invited to participate in the UNFCCC Conference of Parties as an observer under the categories of entities. The Cook Islands, Njie, both non-UN members were likewise made parties to the UNFCCC, indicating that an invitation for Taiwan to participate in the COP as an observer would be in line with the UNFCCC spirit of an all-inclusive participation and justice. Taiwan's bid for participation in the UNFCCC is based on sound rationale, which includes the fact that Taiwan's exclusion from for political reasons is contrary to the spirit of the UNFCCC. Taiwan and its environment are vulnerable to climate change. Taiwan's meaningful participation in the UNFCCC has won increasing international support, and as a vital part of and player in the world economy, Taiwan can provide support to combat climate change. Against this background, Mr. Vice President, the Gambia fully calls for and support the participation of Taiwan at future COPs as an observer. In addition, it is our position that UNFCCC Secretariat should discontinue and disregard the listing of Taiwan's NGO, such as the Industrial Technology Research Institute, ITRI, from China's category, and take immediate remedial actions on all UNFCCC correspondence, publications, and official websites. I thank you all for your kind attention.
I would like to thank His Excellency, Mr. Njie, for his statement.